Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, here's part 5 of the interior upgrades. I've got that bottom tray back on. The carpet's installed. Both seats are installed in the Buick. And one of the last things I need to do to make the interior look right, something just doesn't look right with the other. Look at that factory steering wheel. It just doesn't look right with these sport seats. So, I ordered a steering wheel, a performance steering wheel that looks really nice. And there it is. Looks nice. And a wheel hub kit, so it goes right to the factory spline on the steering wheel. So that's going to look really good with the rest of the interior modifications. This is going to be a race car, so I'm really not going for beautiful looks, but I want it to look mean and be functional. And these are very nice functional seats. They fit with the factory seat bolts, or using these holes, I can use 4 or 5-point harnesses as well. Everything turned out nice here. Looks good. And some things I was talking about on the last video is this engine is going to get upgraded from the original 3.8 low compression V6. It's a draw-through turbo setup. You have the 4-barrel carburetor that takes a fuel-air mixture and then mixes it in the intake of the compressor of the turbo. Fuel and air mix and gets shoved in the intake manifold. It's been upgraded to external wastegate. So this engine's going to come out and it's going to get fitted with stage 2 racing heads and that nice intake manifold, that Edelbrock stage 2 racing performance manifold that I showed you on the last video. That's what's going to replace this setup. And I'm going to go from original draw-through turbo to blow-through turbo. And the difference of that is, instead of the carburetor mixing fuel and air going into the intake of the compressor, so fuel and air gets shoved in the manifold directly, it's going to go from the turbocharger to an intercooler, then come back and blow through a special carburetor, a blow-through carburetor, which is designed for boost being forced into the intake of the carburetor, and that's how it will enter the engine in those long intake runners of that new manifold I showed on the last video I put out. This is just kind of a basic right here. The original factory had a 4-barrel Rochester Quadrajet. I updated it with a double pumper 650 Summit carburetor. I also took the turbocharger from my 87 Regal, the original one, out of this 87 Regal, fabricated it to fit this draw-through setup with external wastegate replacing the internal wastegate. So, lots of little things have been done on this car, and more will be done. So this engine's going to come out, and I'm going to build a race engine for it with blow-through turbocharging instead of draw-through turbocharging, so I can be ready for racing this next year. I want to have something fast, I want it simple, and I don't want it computer controlled, so I'm going to go with carburation instead of fuel injected, like my 87 Regal over here. The 87 Regal came factory with that turbo that's now on the 80. And this 87 currently has fuel injection, upgraded injectors, and a 274 cubic inch stroker engine, which to me, since the factory fuel injection on this engine is not performing up to par, and there's just so much involved in this factory injection system, Back in '87, they just had way too many wires, way too many things, all compacted and crammed under the hood, as you can see. I'm going to convert to blow-through carburetor on this. Totally bypass the computer, bypass the injectors, run a carburetor. I'm going to run a distributor instead of the cam position sensor this has from the factory, which is down there. That's the cam position sensor way down there. That's where a distributor would mount. I'm going to put an Edelbrock Performer 4-barrel manifold that they do make for the Buick V6. And I'm going to retain this turbocharger and the intercooler. The difference is it's going to go to the intercooler, then come back up and go to a carb hat mounted on a 4-barrel racing quick fuel 650 blow-through annular 4-barrel carburetor. It's going to bypass a lot of stuff that I believe is causing me issues of why I've got mad hesitation whenever I reach boost over 15 pounds. I've been chasing this dragon for some years, and so far nothing I have done has fixed it. So I'm going to go totally to mechanical, no computer, with the exception of an MSD 6 ignition box, which also retards timing 1 degree per pound of boost. That's the only computer thing I'm going to really run is MSD box 6 BTM, Boost Timing Master. And that's what's going to replace all this computer stuff. So it's going to be simple. Ignition, which will be an HEI unit for a V6 Buick. Edelbrock Performer carburetor. Blow-through annular carburetor. That's going to replace a lot of stuff. So I'm going to go blow-through on this Buick and blow-through on the 1980 Buick as well. So everything's going to be non-computer controlled, controlled by blow-through carburetor. It's going to be a lot simpler, much more simple. No computers required, just adjusting with jets and everything else. It's going to be simplified. So when this stuff starts coming together, I'll do more videos. I'll continue to do videos on the progression of this 1980 Buick Regal Sport Coupe. It's pretty rare. They didn't make very many of these. And they did make some, but these cars are not around much anymore. These cars are hard to find. They made these from 1987 to 1978 to 1983. They made the Buick Regal Sport Coupe. Then in 1984, they became fuel injected instead of draw-through carbureted. And in 1986, they became like this. Fuel injected, turbocharged, and intercooled. And 87 was the last year of the Turbo Buick, which is this car here. This is a 1987 Turbo T Limited. They only made 1,035 of these. And it's going to be interesting. So I'll show you the original engine, which I talked about in another video. That's the original 3.8 that came in the 87 Regal. I showed you trying to put the intake manifold on and it doesn't fit. So I already have racing heads on this, GN1 racing heads on this engine. So I'm going to put the racing heads, the Stage 2 racing heads, and this intake manifold we talked about in the last video. I'm going to put that intake manifold on this engine built with a stroker crank. H-beam connected rods and forged pistons. I'll probably use a regular Edelbrock Performer carburetor with a good grind that can handle RPMs, good RPM power between 3,000 and 7,500 power band. So, hope you enjoyed this video, this update to my 1980 Buick Regal. This car has a lot of potential. That ugly steering wheel is going to go bye-bye in another video. I'll show you how easy it is to upgrade the steering wheel. That's a pretty nice little hub kit. Got it on eBay for about $50. And this nice little steering wheel here, sport steering wheel, I got it for about $25 on eBay. So you can find some good deals. Because if you were to try to find this at an automotive performance shop, you pay a few $100s at least for just the steering wheel, and even more for the hub kit. So eBay can be one of the greatest resources for upgrading your vehicle. Like I showed you on another video where I got these seats for $350 a set. And the custom seat rails that mount to the Buick and the universal seat sliders, I got them from eBay for about $150. So for about 500 bucks altogether, nice new seats that look really good and look good with the factory gray interior. I chose black carpeting. I like it. And I decided to make this car a two-seater. It's no longer a four-seater. There's all the factory garbage right there that's just tired and so many years old. Factory bench seat, factory carpet. And there's remnants of the factory seats. I'm going to scrap all this stuff at the dump because it's no good condition, especially when these seats look so great, especially two of them. You can wear the factory seat belts. You can also put in the 4 or 5 point harnesses. So this little Buick's coming around. Yep, aluminum radiator with electric fan upgrade. Look at all the room I have between the engine and the radiator. That's why I chose a electric fan with a shroud, an aluminum shroud, to channel the air from the radiator and pull it to keep the engine cool. So I hope you enjoyed this video and update on the 1980 Buick Regal. And you guys have a great day and mad boosting.